as we profile successful Liberian entrepreneurs in and out of Liberia as they provide business strategies, entrepreneurship, and financial planning. Business Talk, your one-stop shop in the world of business. It's on Love FM 105.1 every Saturdays, 2 to 3:30 p.m. Don't miss out. Business Talk. In 1 hour 30 minutes, we provide listeners with up-to-date information and insights into various aspects of business and finance. We engage in insightful discussions with local and international business leaders, economists, entrepreneurs, and other professionals. Join Love FM 105.1 and Love TV Live this and every Saturday from 2 to 3:30 p.m. for the program Business Talk. Gain valuable insights into the world of business as we profile successful Liberian entrepreneurs in and out of Liberia as they provide business strategies, entrepreneurship, and financial planning. Business Talk, your one-stop shop in the world of business. It's on Love FM 105.1 every Saturdays, 2 to 3:30 p.m. Don't miss out.
You need not to miss out because we always here to give you the very best it really has to offer in terms of programmings, entertainment, education, information is our goal. It's what we do here to provide you the basic information that you need to know. And on Business Talk, we do all we can to educate you in how to go about your business. For those of you who are already venture into the world of business, it is important. Sometimes you may have missed the steps. It's never too late to learn. You can actually do your best by listening to Business Talk that will give you the roadmap so that you get on the right trajectory. My name is Rufus Divine Cannon, and I've been joined by Mr. Alkina R. Phillips, my co-pilot, and we look forward to having Mr. Alva Tupa. He's also going to be here as we look forward to a fruitful discussion that is basically dwelling on the potential of diasporal investment on the Liberian economy in the face of this claiming aid. So we are here, and let me cross over to Mr. Phillips. He's there in the USA. He's going to give a few words before getting into our discussion. Wow, you look blurred. What's going on?
Yeah, I think I've got some bright sunshine in my background here. But anyway, good morning to everyone. Good morning to Facebook listeners and all of those listening across Monrovia, Mark Gibby, Upper Lower Mark Gibby, Cape Mount Bome, to all of those who are listening. Thank you so much for joining the show once again. We're live. We're streaming live by way of StreamYard on Facebook using internet technology to be geographically everywhere and anywhere connected. We're going to be discussing a wide range of topics today, specifically as it relates to Liberia, right? Our economy, economic growth, economic transformation, industrialization, and in the face of the declining foreign aid environment, okay, from whether it's from the EU or it's from Asia Pacific realm or mainly from the US. Declining foreign aid. How does Liberia as a country, as a nation, as a people, how do we meet our government operational needs? How do we grow our economy? How do we build our infrastructure? And then, as we all talked about on this show for almost a year now, Rufus, the role electricity plays. We now have a newly appointed managing director of the Liberia Electricity Corporation, Mr. Mohammed Sharif. Congratulations to you if you're listening today. And what role is he going to play in boosting this economy, rebuilding, reforming, transitioning the whole management team, the management staff, of the Liberia Electricity Corporation to tackle, to address key economic indicators, right? Because LEC Energy plays a major role for Liberian businesses. This show is all about business. And how will his appointment and his restructuring plan, his strategy in the energy business? This is someone who comes into this position with vast experience, vast know-how from Transco CLSG. He was the managing director for Transco CLSG, the first one. He has a good record of success in running, leading, directing a team of engineers and business operators within Transco CLSG to move power from La Côte d'Ivoire into Liberia, into Guinea, into Sierra Leone, through the substations. And so he comes into this position with that level of understanding, experience of the energy business, because as we always been saying, energy is a business. So how would that also affect diaspora investment into Liberia? To diasporas like myself and others are looking to Liberia as a place to invest their money, and what role is LEC going to play in that? And that's very, very important. So we'll be taking all of those factors into consideration today. Please share the show link to all of your friends or your loved ones. We want full participation today, because all of us are Liberians, whether you're in Liberia, you're in Ivory Coast, you're in the Minor River Union, you're in the ECOWAS, whether you're in the US, Europe, Canada, Liberia is where we're all connected. So let's have a good show today. I know Ava has invited some guests on the show today. He sends me a note here to both you and I, Rufus. He said that he invited Gabriel Carter. So Gabriel was on the show a couple of weeks ago. There he is. Gabriel's a very important person who will participate in the show today, because he's a banker. He's a finance person. So he understands what role energy plays, what role private finance plays in growing the economy, stimulating growth, attracting foreign investment. He understands what role private capital plays in growing the economy. He's also invited Percy Harris. I don't know him, but anyway, he's also invited this chief executive officer, I believe, of the Liberia Equity Fund, the LDEF, the Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund. So Dwalu would be here to talk about the role of the LDEF. We talked about it last week. We had a great show, but he will kind of expand on it today as well, Rufus. So he will be on here as well. And then, of course, George Famble will also be here, so he can bring his insight. So we want to have a very, very impactful show today, and then, carve this thing, cut this thing, talk about the role of energy, industrialization, private capital from Gabriel Carter's perspective. He's a banking and finance guy. Then also the LDEF from Dwalu comes in. He's looking to raise private capital from the diaspora perspective to invest in Liberia, to be a transformational force for investing all across Liberia. And then we'll talk about Mohammed Sharif's appointment by His Excellency, the President of Liberia, Joseph Yima Boakai, appointing him as the head of the new head of LEC. Let's, think maybe Mohammed Sharif, if you're listening, if you could bless us with a telephone call into the radio station there. We have the number on, so we can kind of talk about what your vision is. Because, we'll talk about a little bit about his resume. He also worked at the Ministry of Finance. He's an economist, so he understands what it means to build nations, to transition economies. So we'll have a good show today. So Rufus, and then you can kind of play a little bit of music so we can get ready to start here while people connect. Please share the show link and let's get involved. We'll give it a couple of minutes. Ava will soon be joining us as well, so he doesn't get left behind. So, get in your seats, put your tray tables up, fasten your seat belts, and let's get ready to, let the pilots get ready to start up the engines, and we'll head down the runway and take off and get to our destination. Over to you, Rufus.
When Liberia, in collaboration with Love FM 105.1, stay, put smart money, and win big money. All you need is to have money on your Lone Star Cell mobile money account. that will allow you to form part of the raffle draw on Love FM 105.1. Dial star 255 hash and select option number 6 for Love FM and put in the currency or amount you want to play with. For Liberian dollars, it's just 100 LD, and for United States dollars, it's just 50 cents. Then enter the draw by putting in your PIN and confirm. You can be that lucky person to win 4,000 up to 1 million Liberian dollars. You can also play by using our website www.winliberia.com and follow the various steps. Don't forget to select number 6 for Love FM. It's the Win Liberia Cash Giveaway on Love FM 105.1. Play now and always by dialing star 255 hash and select option number 6 for Love FM and win 4,000 up to 1 million Liberian dollars. Win the money you need today with Win Liberia. God can bless anybody, anytime, anywhere, especially whenever you are involved with Win Liberia Cash Giveaway on Love FM 105.1. You need not to only listen to the radio, but whenever you play Win Liberia Cash Giveaway on Love FM, and when you win, you have a system that will alert you that you have won with Win Liberia Cash Giveaway on Love FM 105.1. For more information, call us on 231-886-946151 or 231-778-249053. Call for more information and clarity. Win Liberia Cash Giveaway on Love FM 105.1. God can bless anybody, anytime, anywhere, whenever it is. Win Liberia Cash Giveaway on Love FM 105.1.
You must have heard the stories about you. We are here to lend.
Sending and receiving money across Africa is now cheaper, faster, safer, and even better with PAPS, the game changer in international money transfers across Africa. Now with PAPS and Bloom Bank Africa, you can enjoy instant cross-border payments made in your local currency without the need for any currency conversion. You can now pay school fees, make salary payments, remittances, trade payments, and do so much more with PAPS right from our internet banking platform, your Bloom digital app, or by walking into any Bloom Bank branch. Make and receive payments from the Gambia, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, Zambia, and many other African countries with PAPS. For more information, visit our website or walk into the nearest Bloom Bank branch. PAPS with Bloom Bank Africa. Connecting payments, accelerating African trade.
And after that commercial break, let us just give you an insight what we're going to be doing. Henceforth, we're going to be taking up the time to advertise the goods and services here like we just did. You can pay for your adverts and we advertise it right here. We do all that we can to sell your goods and services to the public. Come on, man. You're in the USA. We can also advertise the goods and services right here while you are there. We have our online radio, loveradioonline.com, Love TV Live, and of course our FM dial 105.1. You see, 3-in-1 just to advertise the goods and services. So, Mr. Phillips, let's now welcome Mr. Gabriel M. Carter. How you doing, sir? Welcome.
Rufus, nice to see you again. The last time I think we met, I was in the studio there live.
Oh, yes.
Good to see you. And then Liberia happened, which is why we're on this show.
Oh, yeah, Liberia happened.
But good to see you. I'm glad to be here. And I think this is a very great topic to talk about. This is something very near and dear to my heart. So I'm looking forward to having a good discussion with Philip and the rest of the panelists that will be joining us. But it's good to see all of you. Philip. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Gabriel. Thank you for joining us on today. Once again, like I told you before, all we talk about here is business, our Liberian economy. How do we grow it? How do we transition it? How do we industrialize it? And it's important to have you on here. Hopefully you can join us during the, every weekend, because you bring a whole different
you're breaking in.
Yeah, Mr. Phillips, I know what happened to the internet.
You can't tell me that he's in Liberia, You can't tell me he ran out of credit. You can't tell me he ran out of credit.
Understand that we're Did I go? I think I went off the
You went off for maybe
I'm happy.
30 seconds.
I'm happy that you're participating in the show. I hope you will continue to do that, because we need that, banking, finance participation on a regular basis, because we don't want to be out there talking about things. And as you know, to drive an economy, to build an economy, to industrialize an economy, and to create jobs and attract foreign investors, private capital is very, very important. So let's go into the first topic here as Ava makes his way onto the show. Let's talk about the reduction of foreign aid. What effect is it going to have on our Liberian economy? We already know that the incoming presidential leadership under Donald J. Trump, they've made he and Vice President Vance, they've made the Doge leadership. They're making drastic cuts in different aspects of U.S. funding, especially on the foreign aid side. And in Liberia, along with so many other countries globally, are being directly affected by this reduction in aid, because this makes up a big portion of our domestic budget, of our national budget. And so when that money's not there, it's going to have an effect. But again, from my perspective, okay, let me just make this disclaimer. I voted for Donald J. Trump. I'm an oil and gas guy. I'm in the oil and gas sector. I'm in the energy sector, and I'm a strong conservative. I believe in a drill, baby, drill. I am a strong conservative. I believe in small government, and I believe that the private sector must be the driver of the economy, because I don't believe in big government, because big government is not always the answer to everything, especially when it comes to the private sector and creating jobs. Government needs to focus on regulations, rules of the game, and then keep that government small and privatize the rest of those things, because private businesses can do things more effectively, more proficiently, and that they're driven by profitability. And you cannot have profitability without efficiency. You cannot have profitability with mediocrity. You want to get the best person, the best people for those jobs, and you put them in your team so that you can be effective and successful and profitable. So, but now with this reduction in foreign aid, the question now for a country like Liberia, what do we do? What do we do? Because, my perspective is, I'm going to be very honest here today. My perspective is foreign aid. Okay, Rufus, I want you to hear that. I want you to really participate in the show today, Rufus, because you're on the ground. You're on the ground, Rufus. Yeah. So your interaction, your experience on the ground means a lot. Okay, so Gabriel and I, we live, we reside, we work, we do everything in the U.S. When we come to Liberia, sometimes it's only a week or 2 weeks. So we really don't feel the impact. You are there 365 days a year. Out of the 365 days, Gabriel and I may only come in for 10 days or 15 days. Exactly. So you can speak to what the effect will be. But the truth is this: I am not a big proponent of foreign aid. I'm being very honest. Why? Because foreign aid is like welfare in the U.S. Welfare creates dependency. And when dependency sets in, people become so dependent on it that it prevents them from being creative and innovative to drive their own solutions to their own problems, to meet their own challenges. Okay, this is my position on it. And when you look in the case of our country, we must ask ourselves, after so many years of foreign aid, What has that foreign aid done to transition Liberia from dependency to self-sufficiency? That's a valid question. It is a valid question. So now, what do we do as a nation, as a people, as a government that needs to now look from within, so we can find solutions? I'm sorry to say, but it's the truth. Our Minister of Finance and Economic Planning went before the House and the Senate, and he told the religious leaders to go and pray. That is not a solution. Yeah. This is what this guy said. I mean, we're all, that's not slander. That's on the record. It's video evidence. He said, gather the religious leaders and let them go and pray for some kind of a breakthrough, roll on the beach and get some holy oil or something. But I mean, that is not, when we as a people get to that point, then it confirms my point. It confirms my point that foreign aid creates dependency. Over to you, Gabriel.
Yeah, and Mr. Phillips, thank you. I think I share the same sentiment with you in terms of what foreign aid has done to the country, not just Liberia, but on the continent as a whole. Politically, I didn't vote for Trump, so I will make that clear. But I too am I would say I'm a centrist, if you want to pull it that way, because I lean both ways depending what policies I think each party is positioning. But in terms of to go a little bit into the foreign aid, I've said this to people all the time, and I think I don't have to say it. If you look at the history of Liberia in terms of the aid that we've gotten, as far as I can remember, from the PL 480, when we were giving, I think, $480 million to, which at the time could have, if you equate it to today's money, it's almost $1 billion at the time, right? That could have transformed our country, but it was marred with corruption. Since then, I think since our inception as a country, the United States has always been supporting us, from, through USAID, right? And I think from the last speech that was given by I think it was the inauguration, I think that figure was placed at 160 million a year annually. This is how much budgetary support we've gotten. And to your point, we have gotten so comfortable with receiving that money that we are not looking internally, looking inward to say, okay, this is what we call donors aid. How can we supplement? How can we industrialize to wean ourselves off of it? So we became so dependent on it that when this aid recently by the current administration in the United States was cut off, it was almost like somebody just punched you in your chest and kind of snuff out your breath, right? As I said, I was just in Liberia 2 weeks ago. There are hundreds of people who are unemployed right now just because of that being cut. Hundreds of people. Now, if you know our households in Liberia, the way they are ran, if you, Mr. Philip, is working, you are not just taking care of you and your immediate family. There's a plethora of other relatives who depends on that. So imagine where somebody just come in and just cut you off. Your job is gone. You, in most cases in Liberia, forget Liberia. In the United States, people don't barely have saving. So imagine in a case where your saving is just cut off, no income coming in. An entire household doesn't have the ability to feed itself, right? Because you were the one they were depending on. That aid is gone. Take that impact of just you and the household that you have, multiply that by hundreds of people in our country. That's what just happened. That's on the individual level. Now, if you go on the side of the government, I think we equated that amount to 60 million, right? If you look at a budget of 800 million, 60 million, it's not much, but it's a sizable enough for money, right? That was guaranteed that's supposed to come in. So the impact, it is felt, and I think I agree with you as well. I believe in as much that we were not comfortable in terms of weaning ourselves off of aid, this is a great opportunity to chart a new direction. This is a great opportunity to say, okay, we did not expect this to happen, but now that it has happened, how can we now embrace that, even if we have to get into some kind of austerity measures for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, that we can build back a base financially, that in those 3, 4, 5 years, we won't need that foreign aid. We won't need that $160 million every year that comes from the USAID, right? So I think this is the steps that the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Commerce, the Minister of not the Minister of the head of the LRA, they need to come to the table, including the president and his economic team, to really sit down and figure out what we're going to do about this.
That's exactly right. And this leads me now. This leads me, very good kickoff. I think Ava is trying to get in here. Rufus is working on that. And like you said, there's a ripple effect, right? There's a ripple effect. And you know, this dependency has really affected, you know, the last 4 governments. I mean, 2 under the EJ, under Her Excellency, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, 1 under George Weah, and now the present leadership. Okay, this dependency has caused us to just, you know, it's almost like you've got a baby and the baby is breastfeeding, and all you're doing is you're just rocking the baby, or you got the bottle in the mouth and you're just rocking the baby, and the baby is just comfortable knowing that there's milk in the bottle and there's nothing the baby has to do. That's exactly right. And what this has done, it has killed. I did a posting the other day on my LinkedIn page as well as my Facebook page on this very issue. It has killed, it has destroyed, it has, ruptured this fire that is within Liberians of innovation, creativity, and to bring about solutions. I mean, we Liberians, we are resilient people. Imagine what all Liberians have gone through over the past 20 years, rebuilding their lives, realigning themselves, trying to transition after all of this chaos in this civil conflict, whatever way you want to define it. Look where Liberians have brought themselves. Many people have been born, raised, gone to school without electricity, but they've been able to find a way to retain their dignity. Why can't all of this energy, this ingenuity, this, confidence be harnessed and empowered from the private sector to drive and transition our country to the next level, whereby, as opposed to just being dependent, reliance on all of this aid that has now killed this. It's killed innovation. It's killed it. And this is my point. This is my point. So I urge, I recommend, I suggest to the president, I counsel him, Mr. President, you've got 5,000 lives, future and destiny, depending, relying on you. Okay, that we've got to find a solution to this. And the key to this, I've always said, I served as the senior policy advisor for the Robert Morris campaign. And we drove the whole idea of energy, that electricity is key, it's central. It has to be the foundation for any industrialized nation. You look at Burkina Faso, they're investing in energy. You look at La Côte d'Ivoire, they're a major contributor of energy where? On the Transco CLS grid. You look at Ghana, they're investing in energy. You look at Nigeria is doing great things on the energy front. You cannot transform your economy. You cannot create jobs. You cannot attract foreign and diaspora investment. You cannot stimulate the economy. You cannot empower your people. You cannot improve the quality of life. You cannot add value to your natural resources to attract a higher value on your exports without energy, electricity. And if you think about it, Gabriel, you're the banker, you're the finance guy here. Think about it. Look at Liberia. Over the past 20 years, our problem has not been the resilience of the people. Our problem has not been the hardworking ethic of the Liberian people. It has, in my view, corruption stems from this. Corruption stems from this. Why? Because the largest employer is government.
Yes.
And government doesn't have a profit and loss statement. The government is ineffective. It's inefficient. So the systems are not automated for check and balances to detect. So as a result, people will come in and take advantage of that. Why? Because You want to create more jobs, and the only way you believe to do it is to create a new agency and hire more people. And what this does, then you go to USAID or some foreign entity for aid to do it. You look at the energy infrastructure of Liberia over the past 20 years. Government has not invested in that, have not invested in LEC. It has all been foreign aid investment in our energy infrastructure. And we have not run effectively to maximize the dividends of that. You see, so foreign aid being removed, the question now is, what is the president's team, his finance and economic investment team, coupled with the energy, the Minister of Mines and Energy, coupled with LEC, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Aid again has something. Nikki Colley on here. Nikki, thank you for your comment. She just commented from YouTube. She said foreign aid has crippled Liberian sovereignty and development. Casey, thank you, Nikki. I mean, she confirmed my point. Oh, there he is. Well, Ava, welcome. Yeah, so we're just on the topic of foreign aid. I'm trying to bridge it over to the economic plan that the new leader, that the present leadership now has to figure out how to come up with creative solutions domestically to meet that gap in the national budget that the foreign aid filled. So you can jump in, Ava.
Well, covering that gap, which is anywhere between, I think, 51 million to probably 80 million, if you listen to some people. It's not an easy task. It's not automatic. But the government has to look at the budget, and they got to look at opportunities for expanding the economy. And, looking at the budget, it takes discipline. We all know before we have foreign aid coming in, many of our government officials took for granted that we didn't have to use our own resources generated for anything. If you looked at the budget historically, the public sector investment plan has been less than 10% of our total our total budget. So our investment in infrastructure has been very limited. Now, with aid going away, and we know a lot of that aid went into healthcare, went into education and stuff, we have to reframe how we think. We have to reframe how we value our own, resources that we generate. Yeah. And that's why when this lady says foreign aid has crippled Liberian sovereignty and development, to a large extent it has, because we have become dependent on that kind of support, that we have not maximized our own potential resources, like what's available in our country, from just a raw natural resource perspective to even the perception of adding value to those that they could be worth more on the world market. So now we have to stand up. We have to act like we are sovereignty, like we are our country, like we are independent, and we want to control our own development. So the impact is huge. I mean, it's felt across the world, and they're trying to. The U.S. is sending a message. They are trying to internalize. They are trying to, bring a lot of things back on their shoulders, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's some other stuff. So, we in Africa, we have this huge opportunity. Really, the continent is underserved when it comes to trade, when it comes to different products and everything. So Liberia, as small as we are, with less than 6 million people, we have an opportunity to be a breadbasket and of kind of semi-industrial giant. If we can just attract the right investments, if we can just make some demands of our quote unquote international partners in terms of business, our international business partners, these international concessions that are on the ground. So we have upside. I'm not negative about what has happened. I think it's time that we put on our big boy drawers and, do the right thing by our people and for our country. You're mute.
Yeah, Ava, you bring up a good point. You bring up a very good point. I mean, that was what I was talking about earlier, and I was kind of linking it back to Gabriel from the private capital side. Rufus, let's get your input, because you're the one who's on the ground. This is where you live. This is where you reside. You do everything on the ground. From you as a news person, as a journalist, as a media person, you've got your feelers. You got your tentacles into different places, and you're pulling information from there. What is your take? What are you hearing? What are you feeling on the ground? What's the temperature on the ground with this reduction, this cut off, this disconnection of foreign aid on the Liberian economy?
It's so concerning. It has also reached the zenith of our leadership in terms of the legislators. They are discussing it. Even the marketeers are also discussing it. Just in few days, we witnessed the senators debating the issue, and one of the senators, Senator Darius Dillon of Montserrat County, came up with a recommendation, and he's preferring that there must be some level of reduction in their salaries and that of the incentives that they are getting, or benefits, so that it helps to sponsor some of the weight that is on government shoulders. Because if you understand, just from the legislative angle, you have a senator who carries $15,000+, if you may. Aside from that, he has benefits. All those benefits in terms of gasoline, housing, and you just name all of those things. When you put all of those things together, and aside from the salary, they are in the thousands. So visiting those benefits and the salaries, deducting and going from the legislators to the executive and visiting all of those benefits, those monies can be placed into areas that is so responsible for government to take care of. Look at the health sector. What's the budget of the health sector? Security. But we have our legislators with very fat salaries and benefits, while the thematic areas that should be taken care of, we don't see anything. You have scanning machines that should be at the referral hospitals. They are not there. But you have a legislator who is taking 18 to 300 a gallon of gasoline just for a month. What can we do to fill in the gap? Reduce some of these things. And some of them, they don't even use up to 100 gallons a month. They just right in here. Just drive from the office, just like a stone throw to the capital. And how often do they go to job? You have 2 days in a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So when we calculate that, you're talking about 2, 4, 6, 8 in a month. Literally 8 days in the month to go to work. And you're giving somebody like 800 gallons of gas. What for? Reduce some of these benefits and place it into those thematic areas that we can actually help to solve the bread and butter issues of the country. So when Senator Darius brought about that, it also crossed over to the lower house. Representatives are also discussing that. But it will interest you to know that most of our legislators, they believe in this lip service. They will only say it by mouth, but back, they just don't want this to happen. And it is troubling.
So now, Ava, you brought up the point where, well, before I go to Ava, Rufus, you bring up a good point. As Ava and Gabriel knows, when it comes time, one of the biggest debates that's always in the House of Representatives in the U.S. or in the U.S. Congress, let me put it that way, it's always about budget cuts. And this is what we, Liberia, the current government needs to do. And I believe the president needs to demonstrate strong leadership on this issue. Get with the senators, get with the representatives and say, look, we've got to find $50 or $80 million in this budget, and we need to cut it out. Get the wasteful spending, all of these extra benefits. Because if you take your calculator now, $20,000 a month times 12 months. Last time I checked, 2 times 12 is 24. That's $240,000 a year per person. And you multiply that by how many senators, that's what you're looking at. And then all of this. So if the leadership is there from the senatorial perspective and from the representative perspective and from the administrative perspective, right? This money can be found because it is there in the budget and is wasteful spending. Get it out. That's one side. Then it segues into what Ava was talking about. How can we get private capital? How can we get private capital into industrialization of our economy? Okay, Nikki talks about Nikki, thank you for really engaging the show today. She said to drive the economic growth we need a national development. To drive the economic growth we need for national development, Liberia must invest in education. Very good. How do we invest in education? Like Rufus said, if you look at some of the key budget items that are supposed to support economic growth and development and industrialization in the country, that will make the graduates attractive to foreign investors when they come in to want to hire them, as opposed to bringing in expats to fill these positions. You got to invest in education. You've got to invest in education. But then, like Ava said, how can we industrialize our mining sector? How can we industrialize our agriculture sector? How can we go from just planting to processing, doing value added, and then increasing our exports and creating wealth within our country? How can we do that? Thank you, Dwalu, for joining the show. How can we do that? And we can only do that, right? With what? With this bridge into what? Into our energy infrastructure. And that's where now we can segue and then throw in the appointment by the president, His Excellency Joseph Nima Bwaka of Mohammed Sharif, as the new managing director for LEC, transitioning from the director general of Transco CLSG over into LEC. Our energy infrastructure, our energy operations, our electricity operation has to be the key to helping this country transition. Over to you, Ava, Gabriel, or Dwalu.
Dwalu just coming in, so maybe he can just
yeah. Let me come in for a second. Gabriel, it's nice to see you again, man. Been a while, brother. My brother Ikina, Mr. Phillips. Look, gentlemen, let me say something. I want to go back to the issue of aid that you guys were talking about. And let's look to what AGM Gold and the B Mountains are pulling out of the country. For me, frankly, I don't believe Liberia ever needed aid. In fact, if we reverse the way we look at aid and we address the resources in the country, in fact, in contrast, we are giving more out freely or in poor contracts agreement than we are getting back in aid. In fact, it's almost 20 times. If you look at the numbers that are going out, it's almost 20 times than the small money they are giving into the country. Now, as I mentioned, between 50 million, maybe at its high end, maybe $100 million we're getting every single year in terms of aid. This year alone, the Liberian national budget is approximately $800 million. The amount of gold that is being pulled out of Cape Mount and Bumi, equivalent to that. That's just 2 counties. So the issue of aid is we're actually hurting ourselves substantially. And how we are going to fix this, nobody's thinking about it. My brother Philip said something. Now, the administration, I don't know if they have put together a think tank to see how we can counter the pullback of this aid. Are we thinking that far, for example, to say, listen, the aid that is leaving, how are we going to replace that aid? I was listening to the central bank, the acting central bank governor yesterday with Darren Dillon and all this stuff. And they're asking how much he makes. Okay, he said gross $10,000. He gets another $7,800 in whatever he calls it. He gets another $5,000 in housing allowance. He's getting 60,000 United States dollars every single year for housing allowance in a third world country. in a third world country where if you're making $500 a month, you can live a decent life. This man's getting 60,000 United States dollars just for his own house that he lives in, and we are paying him for. If we took $60,000 in Riverside County right now, and we targeted our money, it can give half of Sesto water, clean drinking water. That's just one man's money. So the issue of aid, we never needed aid, but like Ozzy said, we replaced the aid with the government budget, so we just eat the government budget and we depend on the aid. Something has to get done in our fashion, and I think we got to look at aid very carefully because it never helped us. And the Busy Moya, in her book Dead Aid, she's spoken about it, I believe, 8 years ago when the book was published, and she's spoken about the issue of aid and how aid has been harming us for so long. We have to do something to the contrary, or else we'll just remain in this rot.
So now, Gabriel, you can chime in before we jump to this issue of what role is electricity that you see behind me going to play in realizing this transition? How do we meet this gap? Because this, what Ava's talking about, what Rufus is talking about, what Dwalu is talking about, and that's your area of specialization and Dwalu's area of specialization, private capital. What role do you see this new appointment playing from Mohammed Sharif over at LEC from the energy perspective? I don't know what you know. If you go to LinkedIn, which I am on, you will see his resume, his CV there. Because I think it's a very important appointment. I really do, and I believe that energy plays a major role in the industrialization of our economy. You talk about Bay Mountain, those guys over there, they build their own little energy plant to process the gold and extract it. Okay, so you look at all of the different sectors in Liberia when it comes to so-called investment partners. Everybody has built their own small energy cluster that they use exclusively because they understand, they get it. They understand the role of energy in their exploitation of our economy, of our natural resources. But on like Dwalu said, on our side, we don't get it. Go over, Gabriel. What do you think about this?
So to be honest, I'm not very familiar with the gentleman, Mr. Sharif. But as I said before on other shows, right, the issues with LEC is more of is a confluence of things, right? One is someone who understands the infrastructure aspect of it, meaning how to lay out the country to have access to every area of the country. That's one aspect. You need somebody who understands the infrastructure aspect. But more importantly, so you also need someone who understands the business aspect of the business, right? So if you have someone who has a confluence, knowledge, experience of those two, and can really implement those two strategies, you will see this LEC scale to become, to where every Liberian can have access to electricity. But I think the tragedy that has been with LEC has been the appointments, the people that we place in those leadership role. Either they have one area of business experience, but they lack the infrastructure, or they have the infrastructure and they lack the experience. I mean, the business side of the business of LEC, right? So for me, I'm not familiar with the gentleman, but I think those are the two key most important area that if any CEO is to assume LEC, they need to have those experience. The other thing here is that I think we discussed it on this show probably several times, right? LEC is not just giving access to people. For me, again, this is a little bit biased, and I will say this as well. You have to look at the business side, most importantly, right? If you look at the previous CEO, how he ran the business, they were doing pretty well. They're doing pretty well. I have to give them that, right? But not to the expectation that we all wanted. And given the years that they've had since this post-war experiment that we've been trying in our democracy, the level to which they have scaled, they have not met the demand of the population growth and also the demand of the business community. However, they're doing so well. If you look at the customer base, you look at the the three lines of business, which is the consumer, which is the everyday household, and you look at the business households, the business line of business as well, meaning this is all businesses. And then they have another sector that is pretty much NGOs, right? Each of those business lines have different price points. And depending how you buy the electricity, you get a discount in buying them in bulk. You need someone who understands that, meaning if the consumer line is more profitable, let's focus on the consumer line, expand it to the ability that a lot of people will have access, on the consumer side, meaning the everyday household, just you and I, right? We can take the capital, the investment from that, the profitability from the consumer side, and gradually scale the business side. Vice versa. If the business side is making more money, focus on the business side. The revenue generation you get from there, you can use it slowly to develop the consumer side of the business. Because we know at the NGO, they're not really, because they get a discount, they're not really profitable. So you need somebody who understands that strategic area of how to scale an industry like that. But most importantly, as I said, the infrastructure. You alluded to something very important. You said when we, since the alien administration took over, the problem with us, not just electricity, if you can apply it to the real estate as well, we don't maintain things. It's great if we can develop. You will see somebody put up a great building in Liberia. Go there 4 years, 5 years, 10 years later, you'll see that building deteriorating. The ministerial complex is a perfect example. I say this to say that when we developed that, when we renovated the hydro, if we were taking our time to put more money into it, upkeeping it, and when you upkeeping things, you realize you get to a point where you say, okay, this is not, I cannot keep putting money into this hydro. Why? I have to develop a new one, right? But we have relied on this single hydro since 2006 when we revamped it. And we have not thought about the idea of dividing the country in different sectors, like we've divided the east, the south, to build strategic hydros in those areas. That way they can all meet the electrical need of those areas, and collectively the entire country will be electrified. So you need somebody who can think in that granularity of strategy, as well as looking at the business aspect of it, how to make this thing profitable. So I think for me, that is something I would expect from Mohammed Sharif. I think his name is Mohammed Sharif, but more importantly, someone who can look at this country and say 3, 4, maybe 10, 20 years from now, where do we want to be as a country from an electrical standpoint? And how do we want to, make this thing more affordable to everyday Liberian in the country? So I'll leave it on that. Thank you.
Ava, before you come in, let me just read. I'm going to read from LinkedIn, from his LinkedIn page. You can look him up on LinkedIn, Mohammed M. Sharif. That's Sherif. He has a master's, an MBA, and also a PMP. So Ava, he's one of your guys, project management professional. Mohammed. So I'm going to kind of give everybody an overview here. You can look at it. But on his LinkedIn page, General Manager, Transco CLSG, from 2014 to present, 10 years, 7 months. Visionary leadership, provided strategic and exemplary leadership in managing the affairs of Transco CLSG. Transco CLSG is this 225 transmission grid that originates in La Cote d'Ivoire, connects Liberia into Sierra Leone and Guinea. So he managed and overseeing the execution of a $600 million project. So this is someone who understands the business of energy. Okay, 1,303 kilometers. So that's how long the transmission grid is that connects 5 countries. Before then, Mohammed also, on his resume, on his CV on LinkedIn, he served as the chief economist at the Liberian Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning from 2011 to 2014. Okay, economic policy leadership, managed the macro financial fiscal analysis unit, leading a team of senior economists. So again, someone who understands the role of energy in our economy, because he worked from there. Also, from 2008 to 2011, he served as the senior economist at the Ministry of Finance. And then from 2006 to 2008, he was economist and economic analyst. So again, like you said, Gabriel, we need someone who understands the business of energy, somebody who understands the role and then also somebody who has an economic understanding, okay, of the role that energy plays in building, growing, expanding the economic base, creating jobs, providing opportunities, and last but not least, somebody who's a project management professional, so who understands how to roll out projects. You spoke about the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Somebody who understands the business, the residential side, the financial side. Before I go to Ava, my thing is this: I've always said, engineers turn the lights on, but it is the financial guys who run the business who keep the lights on. So
can I ask you a question before you go to Ava?
Right, Dwalu, if you don't have that strategic balance between the financial side, if you don't have that strategic balance between the financial side and the engineering technical side, what will happen? The power goes off because the bills cannot be paid. The bills cannot be paid. Go ahead, Dwalu.
Just a quick question before we go to Aze. Does LEC intend to, or do they have the capacity? Or for me, I think LEC should be restricted to distribution. Generating the power, do we have that infrastructure, or do we intend to build that infrastructure? Have we fully considered building that infrastructure? Because it seems it's not the distribution that's we're having a lot of problem. We're having a problem from the generation of the power.
That's correct.
I'm a novice to that. I don't understand, but maybe it's just a question to put out there.
You're absolutely right.
Let me put it like this. Okay. If you had a bucket, right? If you had a bucket, or let's say you had the 55-gallon drum, and you had to feed that drum with water. Okay. You have to feed that drum with water, and you supplying the water to the drum. I'm the customer who's supposed to pay you that money based on how much is coming into the drum, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then the drum that you're feeding into, you're metering, right? You're monitoring how much water comes over to me. That's Transco. So Transco is the water hose that brings the water to the drum. The drum is LEC. And then I have one pipe coming from that drum to feed 15, 20 houses with meters on
everyone.
Okay?
Right.
But the problem is the drum has about 50 leaks. No matter, that's exactly right. You got 50 holes on the drum that the water is leaking out of, unaccountable, not metered, not monitored.
Okay.
But so what happens is, no matter how much water comes from Transco into the drum, there's no way you can collect enough money to pay Transco back. So you have this thing called diminishing returns. No matter how much water comes in the drum, you can never collect to pay the debt. So what happens is your money becomes less and less, and you are approaching zero. You get my point? So from the infrastructure side, right, and from the financial side, Gabriel will say, the losses are too great. You have too many losses on the distribution side. So Transco knows exactly how much she's giving you. Montana knows how much she's giving you. But the distribution is not going out. People call it power theft. People call it power losses are so great that the commercial and financial aspect of the company is inefficient. So the losses there are great. And until, Mohammed Sharif comes in with a strategic plan and a strategy and puts together a team to address those losses.
Exactly.
We're not going anywhere. So that's why I'm saying energy is a business. It's a business. So him being an economist, one, him being a project management professional, two, and him having worked at Transco CLSG where he led a team of professionals. I don't believe Mohammed believes in mediocrity. No, he's going to look for the best people to build a team to transition so that the LEC can play a meaningful role in value added for the development of this economy. Because he's an economist. He's in the car. Over to you. I'm not praying. I'm looking at his fruits, because of based on pray. I'm not taking anybody to the beach to go and pray. No.
I got you.
Go ahead, Alva. Go ahead.
This prayer thing, it just leaves us lazy and we don't do the work. So we got to, yes, people can pray, but I don't care how much you got empty bowl over there. I don't care how much you pray. No manna coming from heaven to fill that bowl, to fill your stomach. So Liberians, we have to work. But, the whole LEC thing, I think there's a huge opportunity. I think there's even opportunity there for us in terms of the Liberian Diaspora Equity Fund. If we think about it, energy is necessary, I don't want to get into the intricacies of, the generation, the transmission, the distribution. I just believe we need help along the entire chain. We need to improve it. Even if we're maximizing every capacity at Mount Coffee, it still won't be enough for Monrovia itself. So we need more. We're happy that people doing some stuff in Nima, probably a little bit in Bond County, but the need for electricity can never be understated. The productivity increase, people call it a force multiplier. So hopefully Mohammed has been in the Cote d'Ivoire for some time. He's seen the impact of electricity. He's seen how they close to a 24-hour economy. We are probably an 8-9 hour economy, and we know a lot of our people in that 8 hours they're supposed to work, probably work 4 hours, maybe 3 hours. So the productivity coming out of our country is very low. And with electricity, at least especially in the private sector, people will probably work more and work harder. So there's a snowball effect on all of this stuff. If we get electricity, clean, good electricity consistently provided, that when you can't, you turn that light switch on, that light will come on. I've never in my mind ever come in a house in America, anybody house, and turn a switch and don't expect the light to come on. And if light come on, and when I say current go, I will say the bulb, something wrong with the bulb. Exactly. Or something wrong with the breaker. Yep. Right? So internal in the house. So the provision of electricity and the understanding of what the presence of electricity means, that I can go to sleep now, wake up 5 hours later, I will have light to work, and I can work 10 hours straight. That kind of dependable source of production is what we need. It will drive our economy. So I look at all of this as opportunities. I hope, I believe Mohammed is ready for the task. Yeah. Most of our professionals, we have complained that in other places, serving other countries or other purposes, need to come home. Where this is one instance where, a Liberian who's working outside the country is being invited to come back. Yeah, you will have the argument with some people that he may not be a technical guy, but I think we got some good technical people at LEC. We need strategic direction. We need somebody who can focus on the bottom line and not look at LEC as an entity that's supposed to be, getting money from national government. No, we're supposed to be contributing to the revenue, the government's revenue base. So hopefully he will take this as a challenge and a legacy appointment and be able to make a huge difference in the next, 3, 4, 5 years. It's possible. I'm hearing whisperings of, even a new, nearly 250 plus megawatt operation they want to put down in Buchanan, which should be huge, especially if the HPX folks are coming. If ArcelorMittal can be tasked to really meet up to what the country plan is for Liberia, what's in the concessions, what the obligations are to us. That's another area where we have slacked. So there are just so many leakages, like you mentioned, and so many loopholes that we're not taking advantage of. And if the president is serious, let him take Martin Colley and his crew up on their request to say we'll examine all these concessions, we'll show the loop, and we'll try to find out, where Liberia is losing, be able to vividly illustrate it, and then engage these concessions. Because I know for sure there's a lot of gaps that we're not really monitoring the gold that coming out of these different places.
Yeah.
We are not really taxing it properly. The concession agreements we have, we don't actually get our due benefit. And people look at the numbers, you know, I don't know how many millions on this side, then we're getting only 185 million, maybe other 2 billion, we're getting 185 million. That's just, you know, kind of reprehensible to me. It's insulting to our country for us not to benefit from our own natural resources. So hopefully people can look at these things and see that we don't really need aid. But the fact that we have been dependent on aid, the fact that, for example, our healthcare system, it has been the U.S. government nearly 25 to 30 million every year over the last 5 years, right? And then the international community, the other aspect is these multilateral donors, whether it's the World Bank, whether it's the African Development Bank, or whoever else is bringing, healthcare support to us, whether it's the Global Fund. The USAID or the U.S. government has been a significant donor to those things. So it's a double whammy where the bilateral aid is gone and the multilateral aid is being reduced. So we really have to think outside the box, think creatively, hold ourselves accountable to the healthcare of our country, and be able to, bring some of those things in gear where we can have a continuous healthcare system. If you look at all the healthcare programs across our country, they probably use it or foreign-led, foreign-supported healthcare programs. And that's embarrassing, whether it's mosquito, whether it's malaria, whether it's TB, whether it's diabetes, all those programs, when you look at the listing, I thought I had it yet. For example, so project by title, let me give you about 6 of them. Bridge, applying research for healthy Liberia, about $3 million. Clean drinking water, about $3 million. Community health, about $3 million. Community-led monitoring, about 100,000. Construction of healthcare facility, about 150,000. Counter verification, 1 million plus. Countrywide sanitation, 5 million. COVID-19 response, 4 million. Disease surveillance, 1 million. FAO, 1.4. Infectious disease, 700,000. Infectious disease detection surveillance, 348,000. Partnership for improved health outcome, 8.9 million. PEPFAR, 5.9. So all of these, you look at polio immunization, 500,000. Prevention of spillage, 750,000. Then they got private sector engagement too. They have engaged people in the private sector on the healthcare side to be participants, 1.1 million, 300,000. So all of these things mean that our economy is severely affected by this stuff. People are losing jobs, and there will be greater desperation. So if our officials don't wake up and try to start to articulate what they are doing, because there's a lag effect in this thing, right?
Yes,
some semblance of things going as normal, but eventually it will change and it will hit us. This money is not coming in. The residual we have has gone.
It's a house of
What are
it's
we
a house of
replacing it
cards.
with?
Yes.
And that's where the government and our leaders will have to speak to the people, but they need to start now. They need to start engaging. We need to start tasking ourselves and being harder on what we do, the people we do business with, and see how we can generate more from there and how we can find creative ways. That's why I feel if Liberians in the diaspora can really come together and pool their resources and be able to invest, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in electricity. Yeah, we're looking at primarily agriculture. We're looking at, the hospitality sector. We're looking at construction, but this particular healthcare infrastructure area are very significant to our country's development. And hopefully we can rally enough people that we can start to impact in that direction.
Okay. Now, so before we do the next bridge, so you just spoke about the bridge, right? So before we do the next bridge, which would be the private capital, that's where Gabriel and Dwalu would come into. What role is private capital going to play to meet this deficit, right? To be the accelerator. So you talked about the fact that the Liberian economy is basically, for all practical purposes, the greater part of the economy is an 8-hour economy at best. It's 8 hours. So as a result of that, we're not creating the wealth. We're not building wealth. We can't even generate we're breaking. We're not even breaking even, because if you extract the foreign aid, we're in the negative. And why is that? And that's where for me, I'm excited about Mohammed Sharif's appointment because, again, Transco CLSG, he understands the business of energy, one.
Yeah.
Two, he's an economist. He understands the role energy plays in building, stimulating, creating jobs, attracting foreign investments in an economy. Number three, he worked in Cote d'Ivoire. So he understands the reason why the Ivorians are way ahead of us, leapfrogging,
way ahead,
is because energy is a major part of their growth. If you dig 10 feet down in Ivory Coast, you will see a solid foundation of energy. They're natural gas, they're oil and gas producer, and they have a blend of power generation from solar to hydro to non-natural gas coming from their fields, running their natural gas power turbines to then, and they have so much of it that they're selling it to Liberia, Sierra Leone and Guinea. Just imagine that. So he brings that knowledge. And that's why, for me, I think that in order for our economy to go from an 8-hour economy to a 12-hour economy to a 16-hour economy, and then ultimately to a 24-hour economy, this is where Mohammed Sharif has to now assemble the team, okay? Because again, don't forget, the LEC board of directors is made up of who? The Ministry of Lands and Mines, Mines and Energy, and the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning. They sit on the board. They sit on the board of LEC. So if you, like Dwalo, like you said, I think Ava, you said the president needs to bring his economic team together. This is the team. That LEC board is the team, because you've got the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning sitting on the board of LEC, which is the energy, the electricity sector, which is the driver, right? So if you get in your car, no matter how good your car is, if you don't have gasoline in that car, you're not going anywhere. So this economy does not move unless we get the energy side right, okay? Then you got the Ministry of Mines and Energy. You spoke about Bay Mountain, Mittal Steel. All of them are subject to who? The Ministry of Mines and Energy. And until we industrialize our mining sector with electricity, we're not going to create more jobs and bring more third-party small Liberian businesses to support and provide other services into those mining sector. Now, one of the disappointing things about the mining sector right now, I don't know, Dwalo, I don't know whether you know, Gabriel, whether you know, or Ava, let me just put it out there. Do you know that Mittal Steel has gotten a license from the LERC to become a self-energy generator? Yeah. They're building a 21 megawatt HFO power plant where? In Buchanan.
Yeah.
For their operations. Why? Because they define us in the LEC, our government, as what? As not being a reliable, dependable partner. They're building a 70 plus megawatt HFO power plant where? In Yekepa. To support their energy needs, meet the energy needs for what? For the pelletization of the iron ore. So just imagine that's almost 100 megawatts that these guys are going to generate for themselves and deprive us of that because we were defined as not being a reliable partner in their long-term vision for industrialization and meeting their energy needs. So, this is what we're talking when we talk about this energy thing. And the thing is that 75 or 70 megawatts in Yekepa, they're not going to share it.
Why should they?
Not only are they not going to share it, if they were going to buy at least electricity from LEC, that capital is now deprived of LEC.
Now you've got it.
And it's,
further. And this is my point. And this is my point. The previous LEC leadership, this is where I was always so vocal, so adamant, because I knew this, that these guys did not understand the business of energy. And look what they've done. Look what they've done to the populator, to Nimba. To Nimba. Look what they've done to Grand Bassa.
Yeah, but
that means, look at it from that perspective, okay? And then we'll bridge over to you. Then we'll bridge over to the LDEF. Then we'll bridge over to the LDEF, and maybe this may be the motivation. this may be that thing that triggers Liberians to get angry, upset, and motivated to say, you know what, I want to invest in the LDEF so that this thing ends, that we can now be the drivers of our own economy to capitalize ourselves and make these investments. Go ahead, Juan. What were you asking?
Yeah, Gabriel already started saying this, but I want to say this though. Meta Steel is it's a private corporation. Their intent is to maximize the shareholders' profit.
Agreed.
They will do whatever they can to protect their investors.
Investment. Agreed.
We have to understand that energy is what heats the economy. We've not understood this for a very long time. The guys at Meta Steel understand this. In order to scale up their production, they need power. And they're going to invest heavily into power. Look.
That's exactly right.
We will look at the number every single time we talk. We have to look at the numbers. If you just took, I was listening to the central bank governor yesterday, and if you just took something that they don't need, and I know this for 500%, they don't need it because they already have their own homes. If you're giving somebody $5,000 per month for the house he already owns, then that includes almost every government official in the country. Stop laughing, Mr. Phillips.
I want that deal. I want that deal.
I want that deal. So what's my paycheck is for? We're not here to talk politics, but I just want to put it in perspective. If we took that deal for 2 years, the 100 million or the 100 megawatts of power that Meta Steel is going to build, we can build that within a span of 2 to 3 years if we suspended these payment of rent to government officials who already live in their own homes. Because we understand that for the economy to be heated, it needs power. It needs power. And we are taking the issue. I think Gabriel mentioned this. Look, we have to zone the country, or you, Phillips, in a way where we decentralize regional. Yeah, regional. And that way we can scale it up from 8 hours to 12 hours to 16 hours, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the issue here is we are not thinking about this. Look, guys, when we LDEF aim is singular. If we don't take hold of this, Meta Steel will continue to eat our lunch. Deep Mountain will continue to eat our lunch. Me and Gabriel will be scraping in the cross path because we are not. I'm being dead serious. And Gabriel don't want to scrape in cross path with me because it's not going to be enough.
To be honest with you, I like right cross and palm butter.
Well, then you got my issue.
I like right cross.
Gabriel, I give it to you.
No, but that's why I wanted to kind of set this up so that we bridge over to private capital. You get my point? Because what these guys are doing, again, Ava and you, Ava, Gabriel, and you, Dwalu, you mentioned this earlier. We're not thinking.
Oh, we're not.
We are not thinking. We're acting, and we're acting in a very, very reactive way.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you need to respond, not to react. A response requires thought, analysis, deep thinking, preemption. You need to understand the industry. They say, like I've always talked about the agro business sector. Okay, there's an agro business sector: cassava, cashews, rubber, you name it, we have it. So what role does energy play in that sector so that we can create jobs, industrialize the sector, increase exports, and then create wealth within our country? We're not thinking. We are not thinking.
So let me just give a little.
Go ahead.
Let me give a little example. You guys can correct me, right? So it's talking about 100 megawatts, right?
Correct.
If we convert that to kilowatts, that 100,000 kilowatt, right?
Kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
So if we say the actual kilowatt hour is half of that, right? On a daily basis, they use 50,000 kilowatt hour. And let's say 25 cents, or even if we drop it down to 20 cents.
18 cents. 18 cents. 18
All right,
cents.
Let's do 16 cents. Because
as an industrial customer, yeah, that's exactly right.
Right, 16 cents.
Lower rate.
Right?
Yeah.
That's $8,000 a day. Times 365, that's 2.9 million, right?
Yeah.
If LEC were properly positioned, that's revenue coming to LEC.
That's exactly right.
But that is, like he said, he's taking the other LEC pocket right away. So if we can't do these things for ourselves and the people are doing it, we are basically fractionalizing the sector, and we're minimizing the revenue that LEC can generate. So it's really time, hopefully, you know, we listen to Mohammed when he takes his position and share his vision and what direction he'll be going in, how he'll be different, hopefully, from whatever has happened before, and what we can hold him accountable to in terms of, you know, what are the key performance indicators that we measure him by, or what the specific targets that he's saying I will achieve X, Y, Z in 2 years, in 4 years. So, you know, those are the things. But again, there's opportunity for diaspora investment.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Individually, we can't do it, because individually, you got 50,000, you say you got 100,000, you're not really impacting the economy. But collectively, like we said, and Dalu, we were talking last night with Percy, he did a simple breakdown. We've seen estimates that there are 500,000 Liberians in the diaspora. But let's reduce that amount. Let's say just 300,000. If you take 10% of those people, and on average, 10% that's 30,000. On average, if they just put in 1,000 into a fund, $30 million, we can impact our economy with $30 million. We can get into the transportation sector. Regionally. That's a major impact for us. We can get into it. We can get into trading for certain commodities. And because, you know, I will not over focus on extorting our economy, our pricing may be even different from the Lebanese people pricing or the Indian people pricing. So we could, that inflation, everything that happening in our country, we could reduce that. So the impact of diaspora investment in Liberia is significant, because it comes with love, it comes with patriotism, it comes with nationalism, it comes with a certain level of commitment that you care for your brother, your sister, your country, and you want it to elevate. So, you know, I think it's a no-brainer for us. It's just that we have to present this to the people. We got to get to those people who got disposable income in the diaspora and convince them that this effort can be very, very impactful. And I think it really has some, you know, downstream impact, right? If you do one thing one way, let's say we look at some kind of fintech company, we say, okay, but I think whatever the requirement is, we need to provide cheaper remittance to Liberia, right? Same way, what, 3% on average. Correct. We get in there, we say our own at 1.5%, right? 1.5%. We still make significant dollars, because out of that 800 million, let's say 300, 400 million coming to us at, you know, 2%, that's 6 million easily that we're making. Correct. On a regular basis as a company. Then when you look at it, you say, oh, but wait now. So we need to give loans to Liberia, right? Let's look at banking. We are able to open a bank. So, you know, I mean, the possibilities are huge for what we can do if we come together as a people and pool our resources. So I just hope people can continue to listen to us, share the information, vet the information too, ask the questions that needed to be asked. Don't just agree with anything we say, so that we can really get to that point where we are refined enough that when we take these people money and invest in Liberia, we'll be able to give them, you know, significant returns on their investment. So, you know, that's what I wanted to add.
So that's the segue now. So now we've done the aid deficiency there, you know, reduction in aid, the gap in the budget. We came over to Mohammed Sharif, his appointment by the president in the energy sector over LEC. We've talked about the role of energy across the country to stimulate jobs, create jobs, opportunities, and investment. Now the question becomes the last piece: how do we bridge private capital? How do we Liberians take a hold of this? So now everybody's, you know, I'm reading all the comments here. Robert Morris is saying the mining sector presents a low-hanging fruit opportunity for the energy sector. We got people talking about the, LB, love for Liberia. Elliott, the knowledge will be resisted by the corrupt leader, lawmakers, and government officials. He or she again says, and it is not that we do not have the money for these things in our country. Liberia is not poor. Agree. So now everybody's on. Go ahead.
Did you guys listen to the vice president the other day?
Where?
I mean, I have stated it in where the way we are presenting, but basically the idea is the same. He said they want diaspora Liberians to invest in Liberia, right? That's the simplest way to put it. All right. But again, if those investments are pooled, that they can have build a critical mass and impact any one sector they
That's
invest
exactly
in.
right.
So
Yes,
I don't
yes.
know if all government officials will just resist what we're doing or
Correct.
just dismiss us. I
Right.
think we can build partnerships with them, because
Absolutely.
it's not like this whole aid thing is going to run away anytime soon.
No,
We need
no,
some
no.
activity in the economy, and it's
In the
only,
economy.
I believe, that bridge, like you keep asking now, that bridge is diaspora investment. And it can
Diaspora
come in
investment.
multiple ways. Other people who
Ways.
are out there who feel they can do the same thing, please do it. Please aggregate. We need aggregation the same way in the agriculture sector. They've been planting cassava, that 1 acre, 5 acre, 7 acre, 10 acre.
The
It doesn't
cumulative
come
total.
up
That's
to the
it.
critical
Yes,
mass
yes,
you need
yes.
to produce things on an
Do-
industrial or commercial level. You got to
Go.
aggregate,
Aggregate,
provide
yes.
stories, provide this. So the same way, when we aggregate funds, we gotta have strategic direction in where we're taking people money. So these things all tie in together, and we just hope that we can wake up and be able to do this.
So now we talk about the private capital. So Gabriel and Dwalu, this is your segment now. So the role that private capital must play and has to play, okay? How can we, that's why, Dwalu, you're the CEO, you're chief executive officer, you're the visionary, you're the guy who's the pilot here. You're flying this thing, you're directing this thing, you're stimulating, you've got to sell it. You have to sell it to the diasporas that like Alva said, we got to aggregate our money. Last week, we talked about this. Liberians, if you're listening in the US, take up your smartphone, open your SendWave, look at your SendWave history. See how much money you sent out to Liberia from January 1, 2025 to present. I know some people sent a lot of money this weekend because our pay week. A lot of people send a lot of money to Liberia, but then you ask yourself, what has been your response? What have you gotten back? What has been your dividend? What has been, what have you gotten back as a payback, as a return on your investment for that money you spent? But the thing is, we're sending all of this money in, not organized. And this tally comes up with $800 million in remittances that Liberians send to Liberia every year. So who are the receivers of this money on that side? I myself, we did a show a couple of months ago. How many times the Liberians touch the money? We see that the expats are harnessing this money and hauling this money out. So that's why Dwalu, they've put together the LDEP, the Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund, where we can aggregate our money. One share, $90. Processing, $10. Grand total, $100. Make an investment so we can aggregate this money and become a shareholder in the LDEF, so that when we aggregate our money, private capital, we can make an impact in the economy. We can look at different segments on different sectors, as Alva said, agriculture, power, energy, solar, real estate, and things like that. Gabriel and Dwalu, that's you guys. You guys take it. You're the final bridge now. You're the final bridge. So let's sum it up now. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Gabriel.
No, Dwalu, go ahead.
Okay. Let me say this. Look, as I began the whole thing.
Dwalu, 1 minute. Iva, please put the website up on the screen so everybody can see it. So as Dwalu is talking, Dwalu direct people to the website so they can see it. They can go there, they can read, they can get information, they can send in questions. So let's do it so everybody can see what we're talking about. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dwalu.
Yeah. Hey, my brother Lufa Julius, welcome to the show. Look, guys. We will. If I was just in the bank, I wish I'd spoken to Gabriel before I went back to the bank this afternoon. And I say I was going to reach out to you, but it never hurt to announce it here. We may just get another new payment method where they can use their credit card. The bank offers another option. So instead of just the Zelle and other options, so now they will attach the credit card to the website, but they will charge 2 or 3% fee for whatever amount is remitted. Now, that percent fees may be able to charge the people that are actually remitting the money. So I will explain all that detail to you as once the bank finalizes. I told them, listen, we might need this to be able to incorporate this with their operation. But guys, listen, most of us here in America, we work from hand to mouth. We get typical job. We got typical everything. We're not millionaires. But one thing I do know is we can generate a lot of money if we pull our resources. Like as I said initially, if we broke the number down in terms of the population of Liberians that are here in the diaspora, I think he just updated. We are $35,000 now as we speak. The goal is to keep pushing this money so we can raise the money. The target is $25 million. We've processed and sent out on share certificates in the tune of $35,000 so far. It's very slow, but we are beginning to talk more and more about it. I'll be on the show tomorrow with Liberia Public Radio to continue to answer some of these questions. Like I said, this is brand new. Everything is not going to be perfect. Like as I said, ask a lot of questions. Let go through the process. Let be able to enhance this and pull our resources. Like I said before, I'm just asking each individual Liberian in the diaspora to commit a minimum of 10 shares, which is $1,000. Some people are doing like 20 shares, 30 shares. That's great. But our goal is to get people to buy 10 shares. If we get 25,000 people, 30,000 people, that's $25 million or $30 million. That money now, we can sit around a big internet table, and then what we can do now, we can come together and select certain businesses that we now can invest into the country to try and find a way to control the country the way we want. Because look, let me say this. Liberia will not develop if we don't create local millionaires in the country. We have to create local millionaires that promote the kind of industry that we want. The issue of electrification of the country, we can push it heavily because now we got private capital that is coming into the country, that is more organized, that can develop a whole lot more in the country. We can target regionally. We don't have to necessarily be in Monrovia. We can look to Cape Mount, look to Lofa, look to Nima, and if we have an industry out there that we can expand, this is the way to do it. Because ASEA doesn't have $2 million. I don't have $2 million, but I can find $1,000 and then we can pull our resources. And I'm going to have my brother Gabriel come in.
Dualu, again, thank you for giving such an expose. I think, as I said earlier, I was just in Liberia 2 weeks ago. When I was there, I was actually on the show as well with Rufus and Philip. I commend what you guys are doing. I think this is, a great endeavor, something that is very much needed. And it became more apparent when I was in Liberia. And I said this on the show the last time I was in Liberia. When I was in Liberia, every event place that I go to, the first question I will ask is, who owns this place, right? Who owns it? And like a clockwork, every time, this is owned by a foreigner. This is owned by a foreigner.
Yeah.
I will get up in the morning, go for a run on a jog, go for a jog. Sometimes I'll see a big high-rise building going up. The first question I will ask people, who's building this place? It's a foreigner that's building it. And it became more apparent over and over that all those lounges that I went into, high-end restaurants, and you see those high buildings that are going up, barely owned by Liberians themselves, right? So it became more apparent that I think we've heard this saying that Liberians are becoming not just spectator in their own economy, but they're not even at the stadium. They're being left at the gate. They're not even in the stadium, right? So this is why I commend you for doing this. I think this is a very bold initiative. When I've heard about this, I think Ava and I talked about it. For me, there's, as someone who works in the finance field, there's few reservations that I have. But I think, as I said before, and a friend of mine told me, that in order for us to develop as a country, we have to create what we call fathers, industrialists, like the John Pierpont, JP Morgans, the Warren Buffetts of Liberia. And getting to those stage, you're not going to get there, by having everything being perfect. To say, I will begin once every dot is aligned, right? So for me, I think the only thing I would say about this is that, as I said it earlier, as you go along, take criticism, take feedback, take the approach that you need to take, and refine yourself to get to where this needs to be. I think in our community as a society, we have trust issues, right? Which some of us is not really because of, you know, the people behind the idea, but mostly because we don't have the knowledge to make those kind of decisions. So we have that reservation. So the more questions you answer, the more information you give out to the public, the more they're going to become comfortable. First, the governance of the fund, right? You have to articulate the governance structure. You also have to talk about the regulation, meaning is it registered with the SEC, right? Like Reg D. As somebody who's raising private capital, you have to be registered with the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, under the Reg D registration, right? You have to talk about the prospectus. In private capital, private equity, when you're raising fund, you put out the prospectus. It tells you, I am going to raise 25 million. This is what we're going to do with the 25 million. This is how you can contribute. This is what you're going to get. In addition to that, we have what we call the lockup period. So if you're raising fund, I don't just want you to put money in and tomorrow you say, you know what, Gabriel, I want my money, right? So you have to create a lockup period. It's called a lockup period. So if I put in $100 today, you can say this fund you're putting in is going to be locked up for 90 days. After 90 days, this is, if you want to withdraw, these are the steps you got to go through to withdraw. This is what it'll cost you to withdraw, and this is how you can withdraw it. And you have to create a platform for that, to do that. So if somebody give you money, there got to be a platform. So I'm sure this has a platform where people can log in to have access to the fund. If I invest money, to have access to it, to see that the funds are there, right? So you have to implement all of these things. But nevertheless, the more you begin to tell people these things, the more they become comfortable with it. I think to reach the goal of 25 million would be very easy. That is the first step. The other step here is something I think I alluded to on the other show before. Liberia, I don't want you guys to just look at Liberia. Liberia is a very small country in terms of, if you're looking at investments. First, you have to look at the deals flow. If you're looking at fintech, whether you're looking at the industrial industries, you want to industrialize the country, you have to look at whether you're doing investment in companies or these are products and services you're going to develop. You have to look at the deals flow. How many companies in Liberia can I really invest money in? One. Two, how scalable are those companies? What are those companies selling, or what products or services are they selling? And how much can they appeal to the 5.3 million people that are in Liberia? One. Two, how much money do people have to buy those products and services? Now, is that product or service limited to Liberia? I want you to, basically, I'm saying this because you have to think for someone with a $25 million bucket, right? If, let's say you're investing in a fintech and you're just targeting Liberia, there's come a point where you reach what we call the market cap. You have to look at expanding beyond that, right? So I think, without getting too much in the weeds of things here, this is a great idea, but I think there's a lot you need to look at. You need to look at the deal structure, right? You need to look at the governance, getting rid of that doubts that people have in terms of investing private capital, and really being able to fine tune, like Ava said, to really be able to fine tune yourself to get to the end goal here. But I think this is a great initiative, something that is very well needed in Liberia. I've always been a proponent of private capital because I think it will give the banks in Liberia competition, right? Because they don't have competition so they're not innovative enough to compete for businesses in our country. So you have the event of private capital coming in, that will now give them competition to say, this guy just coming in, he's doing something, he's targeting businesses that we're supposed to be targeting. How can we be innovative? That innovation of competition, healthy competition, will benefit everybody in the country. So I think this is a great idea. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, but I believe, like you said, you have a great team behind you to help you get there. So I will leave it on that for now. Thank you.
Go ahead, Walu. I think one of the things that the LDEF has done, Gabriel, is they've done their homework. Thank you for bringing up those points. Great points. And that that's the confirmation that indeed you know your sector, you know your segment, you know your market, you know your trade, you know your career. And Dwalu, on last week's show when they were on here, he, Ava, and Fatima were on here. Dwalu as CEO, Ava as the CFO, and Fatima as the COO operations side. They, explained, conveyed, articulated all of those points that you just raised. Okay, so it's a good thing that you brought them up because, again, it connects you to, it proves your point and it proves your position in private capital. And for me, I believe that the only accelerator, right, the only catalyst for the Liberian economy has to be and must be private capital backed up by a strong energy infrastructure. And there's no doubt that we Liberians are indeed already sending this money home, but we're doing it. There's a thing that we always have at the party, right? It's called confetti. It's called confetti.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so we're having a big party with confetti, and the problem with confetti is what? It goes all over the place. It goes all over the place, and then at the end of the party, people have to sweep up all of the confetti and throw it in the garbage. So there's no real impact, and the impact is only instantaneous because once the confetti goes up or it comes down, people celebrate the dance and then it's over. We don't want the confetti effect. We want laser direct shooting, impacting specific segments, and we want so that impact into those specific markets or industries in the Liberian economy can be transformational for the investors in the LDEF and for the people on the ground in the Liberian economy. That's the key. And Liberians need to understand that. If you're listening in Liberia or in the US, look at your send wave. Senator Ava, he'll put it up. We're sending home a lot of money, but the response, what we're getting in return is not, there's no return on it. So if we pull this money together, and we look at real estate, Gabriel, you're a real estate man. If we look at real estate, opening up building strip malls with solar power, 20 spaces, renting them out to small Liberian businesses, it's owned by the shareholders.
Correct.
It's owned by the shareholders. If we're looking at cassava sector to open up, bringing cassava processing machine with storage, and then the LDEF can find off-takers for that processed cassava packaged properly and exported, that's revenue or that's return on investment for the investors of the LDEF. If we look at, be it a water purification system or a water packaging plant, okay, that's a return on investment for the LDEF investors. So this is the way we've got to do it. These mining companies are coming in, they're taking our natural resources. They're leveraging our natural resources with private capital to come in and exploit our natural resources, and we don't get anything in return. So if we Liberians are upset, aggravated, frustrated, angered by what's happening, then let's do something about it. Go to the website. It's already up there. Okay? Liberian Diaspora Equity Fund. Click on the link, read, listen, learn, and make an investment. This is how we pool our money together. You listen to Liberians, they always complain. They bitch, they moan, they complain about what? How other people pool their money together. Well, then do something about it. Let's pool our money together. Let's aggregate our money so that we can make an impact and be transformational in our economy to create jobs and invest in specific sectors of our economy to bring about development, create jobs locally, and move this country forward. Go ahead, Duano.
Yeah, Gabriel raised a lot of points, and I'm going to say this. In fact, last week, we have taken some of you guys' points into consideration. We have reached out to additional regulatory agency if there's something we are missing so we can make sure we are in line. We have registered with several regulatory operations here in America, but whatever we are missing, we have already reached out to them. If we're missing something, to make sure we fully incorporate it. And Gabriel is also right. I want to say this. Look, winning trust from our people is the key for this whole thing. This is why we have done everything, and we have presented to them how the money is going to be raised. The money is held in trust. The article of incorporation spells out the governance structure. Like anything, when we are first starting, everything is not there. We cannot bring the board of directors on board because we really don't have money to pay anybody right now, but the structure is there. Now, as we go along, these recruitments will happen, and the goal is we intend to do it live. One of the reasons why, for me personally, I never brought anybody on board, because I don't want people to say, oh, Dwalu, you don't want to recruit everybody yourself. I want us to do this together collectively on the site so we can build that structure. But if the money not being touched, it would not be touched for the first 1 to 2 years. That is clearly defined. In addition to Mr. Gabriel, we also spell out how long your money will be held, when you can get your money out. The prospectus kind of spells that out. You have a commitment for 5 years, because we don't intend to do anything with the money until the money is raised. Once the money is raised, all the shareholders are going to vote on the projects we present. If they say we cannot invest in that, we don't invest in it. So the goal is to organize something, and people with your mind can come in and say, listen, Dwalu, you got to do it this way. You got to organize this way better, because we are looking for Liberia best minds to come together so we can build something. Because if we don't do this, look, the Chinese are currently eating our lunch. This bothers me. If we don't create local millionaires in Cape Mount, it's not going to develop. Like Carla, you said this. We need our own Warren Buffetts and our own Elon Musk in the country to be able to develop the industries in the country. But the way we are going, if I took his 20, 30,000 out of home, it better mix it then. It better mix it. I will go to the sinker, Carla, and I will see the high rise. And I know with almost complete certainty, none is owned by us. Not that I'm discouraging that these people are investing in the country, but if we don't own the lot of the country, we have no control. The control is being taken away, and we have to do more. And I think that, as I said, the best way we can do this is to pull our fund, organize it in a responsible way, and be able to invest and make the shareholders some money and expand industry in the country. And this is the goal. And this is the goal. That's it.
Yes, I wanted to share how people can purchase their shares,
Correct.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead, Abba. Go ahead.
This is the link right here. Buy shares now from LiberiaDiasporaEquityFund.com. And then the first instruction is you can either send your money by Zelle using the number below, right? So you fill out this form, and then you will Zelle to this number down here. So the form requires you to enter your number of shares. For example, we'll say 1. So automatically it tells you right there the actual value of the share is $9, the processing fee is $10, and the total price is $100 that you have to pay. Now, earlier you said send your money by Zelle. So that once you come to this calculation, what you have to pay based on your number of shares. If you're going to say 5 shares, you see the calculation changes. Then you got to send 500. So then you send the 500 to the number below, and then that Zelle confirmation number, you put that Zelle confirmation number here. Yeah, many people will call that number and talk to Dwalu, but if the volume of people who are submitting or buying shares too heavy, sometimes he may not get your call. Some people may get offended. So put the confirmation number here, put your details, okay? Your name, middle name, because some people can have the same names. Some John Thomas, won't know your middle name just in case it's different from the other John Thomas. Your address, your zip code, your phone number, and then you just purchase the number of shares up here, 5. You put in your 5 year. And then you click submit.
And I will get that form immediately.
Right. Dwalu gets it immediately. I didn't put in a confirmation number yet. But once I put, let's say my confirmation number 54692, whatever.
Yeah.
If I hit, and Dwalu, please delete these 2 because I see.
Yeah, I will delete them. Yeah.
If I hit submit, it goes to Dwalu.
I get it automatically, and then once I get that form, I will call you to confirm the information as well, and then I will log you. Now it says thank you for your message. It has been sent.
Right.
And then we will get that form. I will call you. I will verify all the information. I will log you into the system, and I will print your share certificate and I will mail it to you. In the package that you receive, you will have your prospectus in there, and you will have your share purchase agreement in that package as well. And all of those is log and catalog here. It's catalog 4 ways. We keep one in the cloud. We keep one here in a physical safe. And I got an old-fashioned log that I also keep that just in case the entire system crashes. But we have all of them. Like I stated before, your money is not touched until the money is fully raised. It just goes into an account. Anybody can see the account. You see the money, whatever you want. You can go there. You see the money if you want it. I say it's on the account. I'm on the account. Fatima's on the account. Everything is tracked to the letter. We have to make that report to the state of Massachusetts and to the federal government as well. So all the registrations are here. And like I said, we've already reached out to all the government regulatory agencies, including the SEC, to see. Initially, the lawyer said, well, this is a local corporation. But now we will reach out to them. Like I said, we want to make sure everything is in the realm of legality. Everything has to be perfect and aligned. And like Gabriel said, the issue of trust, we understand it, and we know these are some of the hesitations some people may have. We will continue to pound this. We will do some in-person. And I hope Gabriel can join us on the 31st of May. We are having an in-person presentation in Lowell, Massachusetts. You're right not too far from us here. There's a bunch of people coming through, and we explain, because some of our old man say, oh, Mr. Duarte, the internet thing, we don't know it, we won't do it in person. So we are having it come over. It's a black tie event. People will come over. They say we explain to them, and that night we will issue some of the shares to them. Say, listen, if you want 1, you want 5, you buy it right there. You have a cap. Nobody can buy more than 5,000 shares, because the goal is to intend to make sure every Liberian has a chance. The first 275,000 shares have been issued. So the goal is to get rid of them so we can raise this money. Once we raise the money now, we sit around a big internet table, we vote. Like I said, if you bought 1 share, you got 1 vote. If you bought 10 shares, you got 10 votes. And if we decide to do cassava consolidation, we do cassava consolidation. If that 5 million, we invest into cassava consolidation or flour mill. And as the profit grows, your share price will be recalculated. It will be posted to the website. So if you bought at $90, maybe we make $3-4 million in cassava consolidation. Maybe now your new share price is $250 per share. Now your money just went up. So over time, we can build something. Now we can build a Liberian Diaspora Bank. Maybe the Liberian Diaspora Hospital. And like my brother Ikena said, maybe eventually we invest into a massive dam into the country. Or the Liberian airline. Who knows? The sky's the limit. And that's the goal.
Yeah, what?
So wait, before you guys come in.
Go ahead, Alva. Go ahead.
We'll just give the first way by Zelle. The second way, if you have a Bank of America account or you want to transfer the funds through Bank of America to our Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund Incorporated bank account, here's our account number, here's our routing number. You can do that. That's a second way to pay. It's
There's
online.
a third way.
It's easy.
There's a third way.
Huh?
Yeah.
There's a third way. Now we have
side.
PayPal. We have PayPal. PayPal is active. We cannot do Cash App and Venmo because those they charge some fee and they get hacked easily. We want if we cannot protect your money, this is another thing. And like I said, I just came from Bank of America. I want to make this point. We are trying to incorporate a credit card option now, which will be pretty soon. Now, the banks, Gabriel knows, they does charge a fee for using their platform. If you're going to have, it can be 2 or 3%, but that cost may be transferred to the transferor. Let me repeat. So your $10 fee, remember that fee is used for postage, for operations, to make sure the packaging, the shipping, the lights, the cooling, all of those are tracked and all of those are reported to the state of Massachusetts and to the federal government. We have to report all of those. There's nothing that we would do would not be reported. It has to be done legally. So that $10 fee, we need that money to be able to host these town halls. Eventually, when we raise enough fee, we will travel across the globe. The goal is for me to literally leave my job and be able to do this full time to raise this money. As most people are aware, and I will continue pounding this issue, it costs anywhere from 10 cents to 90 cents to raise $1 in America. The bigger the corporation, the lower the cost. When you're new, it costs you more money to raise money. It costs anywhere from 10 cents to 90 cents to raise $1. And I'll give it to my brother Gabriel.
Yeah, so basically, and again, I continue to commend you guys on this. I think this is a great and bold endeavor, something that I think is very much needed. And I hope people are excited about it. So what I said earlier was just basically what any anybody in my field would do. Just look at the fundamental, look at the guideline that will, get rid of any doubts or any one who want to invest will get rid of that doubt. So the moment you're able to articulate those, fundamentals and governance structures and the prospectors and all of these things, it will, and as I said, get rid of the doubt. And the more you get rid of doubts, you have more people trusting the process and be able to invest in the fund. The reason why I'm excited about this, and I'll continue to say this, is I like to say, if you look at the private equity industry in America, right? Who remember Mitt Romney? Mitt Romney was the former senator. Right, he was the former senator of Utah. Before that, that's how he made his money. Now, the reason why I brought this up is because when the private capital or private equity industry started here in America, the government had no idea how to regulate it. They don't even know what those people were doing, right? So the reason why I say this, you have to be bold to start something. And even if the government in Liberia don't understand how it is to regulate it, eventually they will catch on, right? Of course. The same thing about the hedge funds here. Hedge fund is very big. When it first started, the government had no idea how to regulate it. They have no, up to now, even the technology, they have no idea how to regulate those industries, right? Eventually they catch up. So I say this to say that, yes, you guys may have just started something that most people have in doubt. They don't understand it. The same way people in the government don't understand it as well. But eventually, the more you continue to articulate the vision, the more you continue to articulate the vision in terms of how the funds will be used, what the agenda and how you plan on investing this capital, people will come on board. So
I agree.
Again, I say this because, as I say, in our community, I've interacted with us a lot. We have trust issues. Some of it was brought on because of the war. And I think it would take bold initiatives like these to repeal some of those trust issues that we have. But I think you guys are onto something big here. So continue to do that. Just follow the right step. As I said, follow the right step when people, do the right thing. So, it gets rid of all the, if there's any future problem later on, to get rid of those as well.
I agree. 100%.
What I will add to this is this. A lot of Liberians across the US, Canada, we're investing in crypto. Nobody speaks to anybody on crypto. A lot of people have lost crypto. So if you want a return on your investment on something good, the LDEF is where you put your money. Number two, I told Dwalu, I told Ava, all the Liberian organizations across the U.S. and Canada, the different county organizations, the different tribal organizations, the various Liberian association organizations in different cities, Houston, Dallas, wherever the case. The LDEF is a good place for that organization to make an investment. And then that investment will grow, okay? Because that money is held in trust. The money will be held there the whole time. As you said, Gabriel, it's 5 years. So if we truly want to get this thing across the finish line, granted, individual investment is one thing, that's fine. We're not going to, I don't think the LDEF is going to reject it. No. But when you look at community organizations across the U.S., Liberian organizations, tribal organizations, high school associations, college university organizations from Liberia, different, whatever it is, that's where good money, 5K, 10K, 2K, 5, whatever it is, can be invested in LDEF as an organization where that money can be held and invested to make impact in the country as a whole.
Correct. Yeah. And I want to stress this point though. Your return is not just monetary. I want you to understand the return is far greater than the monetary portion. Remember now, the aim here is to reorient our country towards industrialization. So we get a whole lot more. So your $1,000, yes, the goal is to make sure we make the shareholders money. Last time, remember, I listed the 4 objectives of the corporation, and I'll restate them here again. Initially, obviously, is to make the shareholders money. That's always primary. Secondarily, is to create thousands of jobs across the country through industrialization. on the tertiary level to make sure we have some economic controls in the country. Like Gerber talked about, we have to control the markets of our country. And fourth, to get Liberian expertise back into the country to begin true human capital development in the country. So we decide the monetary portion, we will be impacting the country in a way that we all dream about. And this is the goal of the cooperation. As he expands, more better minds come on board, we can begin to expand this cooperation. And from, look, there will come a time where I don't want government contracts to go out to foreigners easily. We can have a rural construction division on our LDEF. We can have an electrification or distribution division on our LDEF. We can begin to build up skills where when we win the MCC grant, they say, oh, Liberia don't have the expertise, the money. They're sending these expats fresh out of college or whatever they're coming from. They come back to the country. They are making $300,000-$400,000. Why not Gabriel with 20-25 years experience come to the country and manage a fund to be able to leave it in Liberia? Let Gabriel, let Dwalo become the millionaire. There's nothing wrong with that. If we do that, we develop. If we don't, we stick in a stagnated position where we're not anywhere,
Good. I mean, good. Very, very good point, Dwalo. So there's a monetary return, which is always the drive for any investment. But as Liberians in the diaspora investing in our own country, there's also, a mental, a heartfelt return on that investment. That we're bringing about transformational change in our country, and that's important. This allows Liberia, this takes Liberians off of the fences. Don't sit on the fence and complain and condemn and criticize. Get involved. And there's no better way to get involved in economic transformation and national development in your country from the private sector perspective. Again, we all desire smaller government in a big and robust and thriving, successful private sector that would drive economic transformation and ultimately change the politics in the country. And there's no better way to do it than by investing in the LDEF. This is the true generation. This is, I would say, the brainchild, right? We're birthing private capital at the Liberian diaspora level. If I can put it that way, Gabriel and Dwalo. This is the birthing. We're bringing forth a child. This thing has been conceived, but just how if you are a father, you're in the delivery ward, your wife is, she's cursing you, she's yelling, she's screaming because we're bringing forth a child. We're bringing forth this child, and now all Liberians need to participate. We need to get in there, put our money where our mouths are, and then we have to help this thing and get it through the genesis and all the way, and let's get it all the way over to where we need it to be to bring about transformation.
So I know these topics are exciting and they talk, but we have a commitment with Love FM, in terms of time. So we got to respect that. So let's see if we can give our parting words. But I just want to share that next week we'll be bringing on Mr. Alpha Tonga, who will talk about our venture pilot program, where we start to engage businesses on the ground that want to, come from more of a strategic perspective, understand the sector a little better, and see how we can position them for investment from other people or, investment from LDEF to scale up. So that's what we'll be doing next week. Hopefully Alpha is listening. If not, we'll send him the information for the show next week. But just to close from my end, I'm excited about the opportunity to work with people. People are asking now. And for people who believe in this, try to start collecting small groups of people. You can call me or you can call Dwalu. We'll speak to those small groups on video, on WhatsApp, or if you are within the DMV area or even in Delaware, Philadelphia, I'm willing to come to sit down with 5 people, 10 people for us to just talk about LDEF and the opportunities there. So we are very open. Our big event is May 31st, where we'll be officially, coming up with our first major program in Lowell, Massachusetts, or right outside Lowell, north Chisholm. But is it Chelmsford or Chisholm?
Chelmsford.
Okay,
Chelmsford. Yeah, Massachusetts names.
Right.
They're all different. How do you spell?
So we'll be at that one. But we are in March. Between March, we got April, we got most of May. So in that time, we'll still be doing a grassroots mobilization. So for those who believe, if you have any audience, whatever you're talking to a friend, say, oh, LDEF, yeah, call me, call Ava, call Dwalu, and
I just did one in Woosum Miles, by the way, at a Liberian church. I just did one. So if your church, whatever, I will come there. Anywhere in New England, I will come there to you to talk to you guys about it.
And
Same here.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Dwalu, I suggest, again, as a sales engineer, as a business development specialist, take this show on the road.
Yeah,
take it on the road and educate, inform, enlighten, because doubt creates fear.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you can focus on eliminating doubt, and you can educate and inform people where they can invest their money and get a return and make an impact in Liberia, where the need is greatest. Yeah. The greatest need is not in the U.S. The greatest need is in Liberia. So, and like you corrected me, hey Al, it's not just the return on the investment. Mm-hmm. Of course, shareholder value is important, but there's a greater calling for all of us who have, quote unquote, who have made it.
Correct.
Okay, so that we have to be our brother's keeper. We make our money, but at the same time, we let us be our brother's keeper in making an impact to the younger generation in Liberia and grow the private sector. So if you take that on the road, I mean, my wife and I were just talking about the LDEF last week, that we're going to be making our investment, significantly in the LDEF, because again, long term, I believe in it. This is something I'm very passionate about, and I believe in it. And I think that this is where we Liberians must rise up to, and we have to put our money where our mouths are, and we have to drive this thing. If the other people, the other nationals in Liberia can do it, then why can't we do it? Then why can't we do it? We have a greater opportunity now to do it more than ever before. But again, Rufus Divine Connor is back before he unplugs us from the air here. So let us keep our commitment to him. So Gabriel, if you want to go ahead and do your closing, and then we'll kind of go Gabriel, Dwalu, Ava, and then I will end, and then Rufus can have his radio show back, and the people in Monrovia can enjoy their music. Go ahead, Gabriel.
Yeah, and thank you. I'll try to be very, 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 very brief. I know Rufus got to run. Again, I want to thank you guys for having me here. I think this is probably the second or third time being on the show. I know Dwalu very well. We live in the same state. Again, as I said before, this is a great endeavor you guys are taking on, something that will eventually allow Liberian to pull their capital and have a laser-focused impact in the country. I think we talked about three topics here today, maybe more, but the three that I want to close with is first is the USAID, the cut of the USAID aid to Liberia. This is, I think somebody alluded to this here earlier. Currently, right now, we're not feeling the impact, but eventually, maybe 3 to 4 months or 6 months from now on, this will be, we will continue to feel, we will start feeling the impact of what the cutting of aid to Liberia actually, what type of impact it has, not just on the government, but also the, everyday Liberian who worked in these NGOs will continue to face. Maybe some of them might have savings, so that will give them a little bit of runway in terms of 3, 4, 5 months before that actually begin to kick in. And I think this is something the Minister of Finance or the government entirely can, maybe take time to really see how they can divert their focus to bridge that gap that is being left by USAID. So the other topic we talked about was LEC, and this is Mr. Phillips is something that is near and dear to his heart. For me, as I said, I think the appointment, I don't know the gentleman very well, but I believe in order to really have a transformation at that entity, you need both the infrastructure experience as well as the business. And if you ask me, I would say you probably need more of a business experience, because we all know for a country to develop, the foundation you need is, electricity, constant electricity. And so hopefully he can come in and create some type of impact and make sure he scale this thing up to where we can be fully energy sufficient, efficient as well. So I wish him well. As I said, we'll be here monitoring that, and I think all of us will be able to benefit from that. And last but not least is what we just talked about, the private capital. I am a big proponent of private capital, especially banks and the financial services in Liberia. And I believe the way we do banking in Liberia is still being done like we do it in the 1920s, because there's no innovation, there's not much competition. So the you know LDEF, the Liberian Diaspora Fund coming up, I think it will give not just the banking sector competition, but it will, if that competition is healthy enough, it will also make them innovative, right?
Yeah.
To say we cannot just be a people that just take money and give it to consumer, but also we have to create an ecosystem as well, which is what the fund is doing to help build an industry that can industrialize this country to make sure that every Liberian benefits. So I love the idea, and as I said, this is something that you guys are not the only people doing that. By the way, there are several Liberian people doing certain things behind the closed door.
Yeah.
Eventually, they will get to come up as well, and you guys will continue to hear about them. But as I would say finally, and I will shut up, competition is not a zero-sum game, meaning you learn from your competition. There are healthy competition that needs to happen. So if you see your competitors coming up, there's a lot of things you can learn from them, which will actually allow you to hone in on your own niche as well. Again, thank you guys for having me. This is a pleasure being on here. Hopefully this won't be the last. And I wish you guys have the good rest of your weekend. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Gabriel. And for me, I'll be even far shorter than Gabriel, because I literally agree with everything he did say. And I'm going to say this. The aim of the corporation is to heavily drive innovation in the country. We want to change the way we actually do business in the country. And that change, I'm talking positively to uplift the Liberian economy. And I want to say this directly to the guys that control or make the decisions in Monrovia. This corporation intends to help. It doesn't matter who's in charge, whoever's the president, whoever's in charge. It's intent to help the government in the private sector to create jobs. It is in the government's best interest to also equally promote this organization so we can be able to get our footing right. Now, like anything else, like my brother Philip said, it's a baby. It's being birthed, it's screaming, it's crying until it hits its footing. And there are some obstacles that we have to navigate, and we are doing everything we can to navigate those obstacles. But at the end of the day, we have a greater responsibility, quote unquote, my brother Ikena said, those who have made it, to look back to the country, to effectuate some change that is literally going to transform the country. This is an obligation that we cannot neglect. Those of us in the diaspora, I'm going to ask you, literally, and say, listen, let's come together. It is kind of always going to be about politics. This is heavily private. This is going to be beneficial to every single county in the country. And the only truest way we can do this, if all of us come together, find our best and brightest, put our head together, and then we can really decide the direction of our country through economics, through finance, through building industry in the country that's going to transform the country, but primarily give us economic control of our country. And this is the goal of the corporation. And we think we'll be able to achieve that if we all put our hands together. I say to the audience, it was such a pleasure.
Thank you to our guests, Dwalu and Gabriel. Again, our hosts, Akina and Rufus. We appreciate Love FM for all they're doing. The other stations that are relaying, Akina know them better. He can give them a shout out. But to our listeners, you are the one that keep us going. You are the one sharing this stuff. You are the one informing other people. And we're really appreciative of that. So thank you. Have a good evening. Have a good weekend.
From my side, once again, Rufus Devon Kane at Love FM, the entire team there, the technical team. And I believe today we started our automatic relay in Ablije in Buchanan out of there. So we're covering the Southeast. All your folks there in River says, Ava, they're hearing the son of River says, there you go. So all of the River says citizens across the U.S. invest in LDEF for the development and economic transformation of Riverside County. But again, Gabriel, thank you. Dwalu, thank you to everyone who participated in the show today. To all of our Facebook listeners and streamers, those who watched us, listened to us. Thank you for listening to Business Talk, where we talk about business, economic development, progress in Liberia. And this is our focus. And I think we met that today. Private capital, talking about, what role private capital will play, can play, should play in our economic growth and transformation in the country through the LDEF and other means. As well as Mohammed Sharif appointment by the president to LEC. Again, we're optimistic. And we're hopeful, but again, hope is not a strategy. You know that, Ava and Dwalu. Hope is not a strategy, but Mr. Sharif, as you come in, we're going to hold you to all of those points that we read on your CV, your resume, on your LinkedIn page as an economist, a project management professional, and as the former Director General for Transco CLSG. Somebody who understands the business of electricity or the business of energy, and see how you can apply it and bring about the change, the transformation in a vital institution in our country, LEC, that is important for economic growth. And again, the LDEF is the way to go. This is our future. And the guest that will be coming on next week will link the LDEF into that as well, because private companies, like local Liberian companies, will be also possible recipients of LDEF investment as well. So again, to everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for participating. All of the folks who commented. Rufus, we just thank you. We love you and we appreciate you so much. What are your parting words before you cut us all off?
Like I always say, there are two things in this life we always be remembered for: the problems we create and the problems we solve. And we must take responsibility of two things in our lives: our fortune and that of our misfortune. Thank you so kindly.
Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Enjoy.
Business